My 24 female boyfriend's 24 name is Zach, and his mother passed away when he was 11 years old. His father worked a lot, so Zach's older sister, Elise, 30, female, basically became the woman of the house for lack of a better term. She cooked all the meals, cleaned the house, drove Zach to school and other activities, etc. She was extremely parentified, and I do feel for her on that front. She went to a local college. Because of all this, Zach and Elise are very close. He has a lot of respect for her. Zach and I have dated for nearly a year. We are very different in terms of backgrounds. He is much more reserved than I am. Before me, he spent a lot of his weekends gaming or just hanging out with a small group of friends. I tend to go out. I work hard all week and want to enjoy the time I have off. Zach is a shy, somewhat nerdy guy, and I do think I've broken him out of his shell a little, pushing him to do things out of his comfort zone. Elise and their father have made several comments about him changing. She's very nice and cordial when we see each other, but she's made several comments about Zach not needing to change who he is. Sunday, Zach invited myself, some of his friends, his dad, sister, brother-in-law, and niece over to watch the game. At one point, vacations got brought up. I mentioned I was trying to convince him to go on a 2-day local cruise with me as he's never been on one. Zach reminded me he's not the biggest fan of boats. I pointed out he's never been on one and we could rent one to take out so he could get used to it. He was somewhat on the fence. Myself and one of his buddies were trying to help him see it's not so bad. Elise butted in and said if he doesn't want to go, then I'm sure you can find something else to do. I said I was pretty sure I could talk him into it. She asked why I would want to go if he really didn't want to. I said of course I would never try to force him to go, but it's just something to think about. She repeated that he doesn't like boats and that I should respect that. I rolled my eyes, not really understanding why she was so adamant on this, and said she needed to relax. She's not his mother, she shouldn't care this much about the situation. Elise was clearly upset by the comment but didn't say anything else. The subject got changed and I thought all was well. A little later, Zach asked for my help getting something out of his room. Once in there, he told me I was out of line for how I spoke to his sister. I said she was the one that was getting up in our business. Zach said that I kept pushing it and got upset when I said, well, clearly she and your dad didn't push you enough to try new things. He said I was being disrespectful and needed to apologize to Elise. I laughed and said no, she needs to butt out. Zach finally asked me to leave. I did, aggravated. I really thought my friends would be on my side, but they said I crossed a line. Am I an idiot? You're an idiot. You're saying I managed to break him out of his shell says a lot here. It seems like you're constantly pushing him to do things he wouldn't necessarily do otherwise, and I think this is not healthy. What's wrong with being shy and not wanting to do some things? Your way isn't the only correct way. And you did push him on this occasion too. And you were being disrespectful to his sister. You're an idiot. You did cross a line. You got told something against what you wanted to do and then went to double down on it. When you didn't get any leeway, you got an attitude. She's right though. Why go on a whole ass cruise if he doesn't like boats? Start smaller. This seems more about you than him for vacation's sake. Let me know in the comments if Zach is an idiot. Now for the next story. Am I an idiot for sending my niece to live with her other uncle? My sister-in-law passed away 12 years ago and my brother passed away 4 years ago. They had a daughter who is 13 years old now. After my brother passed away, both me and my sister-in-law's brother tried to adopt my niece, but as my niece didn't have much of a relationship with her mom's family, I was obviously the better option, so I ended up adopting her. Recently, my niece has got this very annoying habit that whenever we have a disagreement, she says she would rather go and live with her other uncle. I know she doesn't mean it because 1, she barely knows her other uncle. 2, I have a high-paying job and I'm able to provide things that most people aren't able to provide, so she is too spoiled to be able to live with anyone else. About a week ago it happened again. She told me she wants to live with her other uncle. This time I told her to go pack a bag. She went to her room. An hour later I went to her room and asked her if she was ready. She said she didn't mean what she said and doesn't really want to go. I told her that she should go anyway. She'll stay for a week and then she can tell me if she wants to stay there or come back home. She insisted that she already knows where she wants to stay, but I told her to get in the car and drove her there. After a week I called and asked if she wanted to come home and she said yes, however she hasn't been talking to me. My family heard what happened and now everyone is mad at me and thinks I'm an idiot at it. I decided to make an edit and let you know how things are going. We decided to have a conversation about it. I asked her how they treated her and she told me while her uncle was nice, her aunt made her feel unwelcome and she didn't feel good about being there and she doesn't want to live with them and she thinks I was a jerk for sending her even after she apologized. I apologized and told her that even if she wanted to live with them, I would still bring her back home because I love her too much and can't live without her, so she is stuck with me. She has some conditions for forgiving me. For example, she continues to torture me by forcing me to binge watch Riverdale with her. And she wants a daddy-daughter day, and I'm guessing that I'm not going to like any of her plans based on the evil grin on her face, but I'll do whatever makes her happy. You're an idiot. As the kid who got moved around a lot between divorced parents who used to say stuff like this, I get that saying what she said is shitty, but the fact that you so easily passed her off to the next person broke her trust. You need to apologize and earn that back. Everyone sucks here. I'm torn here. On one hand, I can see how other people get upset because they aren't in your shoes. On the other hand, when my daughter kept threatening to live with her dad after we divorced, I finally wiped my tears and told her that if she really wanted to, then we would get schools switched and she could. That was the last time I ever heard that from her, and that was 2 years ago. She sees her dad 50 over 50, but I never had her actually go stay with him. That wasn't custody time. Let me know if it was justified for him to send his niece away. Now, for the next story. Am I an idiot for deceiving my wife into joining me for my drive to work? I, male 37, and my wife, a female 31, live in a suburban area. I commute to work in a nearby city every day and she stays at home. We have no children. My commute is generally about 2 hours. I can shorten this by 10 minutes, 20 minutes with some good timing and luck. But for the most part, it's a long commute. Now, what has often been a source of friction in my marriage is that 9 times out of 10, the moment I step in the door, my wife asks me to do something. She always has some miscellaneous chore that absolutely cannot wait. She wants me to take out the trash, make dinner, wash some dishes, or whatever else. I've told her time and time again that I need a bit of time to unwind from work, and then I'll happily do it. Last Thursday, after I asked her for time to relax, she said that I had 2 hours to relax after work. She insisted my commute home was plenty of time to listen to music and unwind. When I explained that driving in traffic was probably more nerve-wracking than work, she said I was just sitting on my butt. This Monday, I woke her up with me and said that I had a special surprise for her. She assumed I had taken the day off work and we were going somewhere special. She got dressed and we got in my car. I got to the freeway, where I told her that we were going to spend the next 2 hours sitting in traffic together, seeing as she considers that leisure. She immediately got upset at me for lying to her. We argued for about 20 minutes until she stopped responding. Then she started watching Netflix on her phone. Then she asked me to drop her off somewhere so she could Uber home. I did not. We got to my office building and she immediately jumped out of the car to find something to do. I went to work as usual, but after I finished she was nowhere to be seen and not answering texts. Finally I called her and she picked up the phone to tell me she had taken an Uber home in the afternoon, then hung up on me. Since I did this, she hasn't said more than a word or two to me at a time. She seems to be really upset, but did I take this too far? Everyone sucks here. You kidnapped her and left her 2 hours from home. That's horrific. But yay, you need some time to unwind after work and that is 100% reasonable. You shouldn't have done it like this, but you absolutely needed to make the point. Also, she can take out the trash. You're gone 12 or 13 damned hours. Edit. She's unemployed, no kids. Why isn't she making dinner or doing the dishes? You're an idiot, and have serious issues that you even have to ask. And more fricked up that you did what you did. That was the best way you thought of to try and make a point. The only thing it shows is how big of an idiot you are. Now for the next story. Am I an idiot for not paying for my mom's surgery even though I have money for it? I am a 35-year-old female. I lost my father very early when I was 5 years old. A few months after his death, my mother married a guy named John. John already had 2 teenage boys and he didn't want to raise me because he never wanted to be a girl's father. My mother, like a good mother, abandoned me with my aunt and took my brother, 8 by the time, with her to live with her husband. John was a man with a lot of money and he always spoiled my mother and brother, but he never bothered to get me even a Christmas present. My mother didn't do anything for me either. She came to visit me once a month and didn't even call me at Christmas or New Year. I always called, but many times she didn't answer. My aunt was a woman who couldn't have children. Because of that, she and my uncle raised me as if I were their daughter, not missing anything from me. Even without much money, I accumulated some money from my job I had during high school, and I earned a small amount from my aunt, which was enough for me to pay for my college. At the time, I graduated in computer science and went to work in a good company earning a great salary. But 8 years ago, I received a much better job offer in a large company, one well known for having great hardware products. In that time, I accumulated a lot of money and helped my uncle and aunt renovate their house, and I always sent them a nice amount even if they told me to spend it on myself. I currently live alone in a great apartment with an estimated value in the millions. Recently, my mom called me on my Instagram. I post a lot of pictures of trips and fancy places I go. It's not too hard to find me. She asked if we could meet to talk and reevaluate our relationship to forget the past and move forward as mother and daughter. I have a soft heart, so I took it. I thought it would be an opportunity for us to talk and finally create the bond I always wanted. We made an appointment at a restaurant downtown and met there. When we got there, she hugged me, kissed me on the cheek and said she missed me. We talked about my life, and when I asked how hers was going, she started to talk about how bad she was. Apparently she divorced John and my brother didn't want to keep her as she is now poor. To make matters worse, she lives on a pension from John and has serious heart problems. After a while, she asked if I could pay for a surgery she needed. The surgery was quite expensive, quite a lot. I told her I wouldn't pay as I wouldn't feel good doing that. She yelled at me in the middle of the restaurant, said I was a terrible daughter and that I was letting her die even though I could pay for her surgery. I left there very embarrassed. When I told my aunt, she said it was my decision but remarked that I have plenty of money to pay and that it wouldn't affect me financially. I don't want to do this cause she never has been a mom to me, but I need to ask. Am I an idiot? Not an idiot. Today it's surgery, tomorrow it will be recovery, then rent, bills, lifestyle, vacations, then home care. and you will end up restricting your lifestyle for someone who threw you away so she could have the lifestyle she wanted. If she pops up again, tell her you are saving your money to help the people who raised you. You owe her nothing, not an idiot. Your mother doesn't see you as a daughter but as an ATM. On the flip side, if it won't impact your finances, you could give her this option. You will pay for her surgery on the condition that she never contacts you again. Get it in writing with a lawyer and then you can be done with her.